I've had a couple questions asked about my last post showing the pistons, the rods, even the wrist pins and the rings, that whole rotating assembly that goes with the crank. And somebody asked me, why is it so important to have it so incredibly balanced? And for me, it's pretty simple. 9,000 RPMs means that piston, 9,000 RPMs means a piston goes up and down and back to top 150 times a second. So that crankshaft is spinning, making a full rotation 150 times a second at 9,000 RPMs. That's pretty fast. And so anything that we can do to make this engine completely balanced, it will prolong the life of your bearings. It will prolong the life of the oil, because the oil's not going to be eating up the microscopic dust from the bearings. It's going to cause less heat, less friction, which slows the engine down. It will provide longer service life for the engine, especially when you're running at those really high RPMs. And so somebody was like, well, why a tenth, or even we go like basically plus 100th or so in balancing? And it's just because that's the way I was taught, and that's the way I do it. And it might be a little bit too much for some people because it does take us so long to do this. But we have seen what a race engine that is capable of running 11,000 RPMs after 3,000-4,000 miles of off-road racing and multiple races, what the bearings look like, and they look almost brand new. So that's one of the reasons why I do this to our engines. And then just to give you an idea of, you know, what like a C-clip would weigh in a piston. Someone's trying to figure out, well, what does a gram weigh? And so just to give you an idea, here is a clip. Come a little closer. Here's a clip right here going onto a scale. That's 0.96 grams. So it's ever so lighter than a large paper clip. Or to give you something else, oh, I have some change in my pocket. Here's a dime. I was hoping for a penny, but 2.25 grams. That's a dime. So if I'm off by 1 or 2 grams on a piston, a complete assembly, a piston, a rod, and then also we can go much further into talking about balancing a rod top and bottom. There's more balancing to rods than what most people understand of just weighing it. There's 3 points of weight for a rod, but everything is so balanced that this entire assembly and this entire assembly, I'm only off by 100th of a gram. That's it. And it takes a freaking long ass time to do that, but it's just moving parts around. I have these little clips. They're a difference by a fraction of a gram, and I just juggle them around to whichever assembly needs to be lighter or heavier to help me balance these things out. And that's one of the ways that we create an engine so that its performance gains are also so it can safely run at those really high RPMs. Again, simple mathematics. 6,000 RPMs, 100 times a second. So 9,000 RPMs is 150 times a second. And then the valve train is half that. So if you think of the valves going up and down at 6,000 RPMs, they're going 50 times a second. That spring is going collapse up, collapse up. So that's just the simple rule of thumb for mathematics of how an engine works for the crankshaft and the valve train. We'll go into another video later about another question is how I balance pistons, and we'll go into something like that soon. Any more questions, just hit us up on Instagram or email us at info@cryoheat.com.